All right, on the bench today, out of a 2007 BMW 530i with the 3.0, we have the ZF6HP19. We have 131,000 miles on the clock. So this gentleman drove from Delaware to the shop because he is having transmission problems, and this has the typical problem that is very common with the ZF6HP19 and 26, which is slipping in the higher gears, if you will, 4th, 5th, and 6th. So we did a code scan, and we got two codes present. We have gear monitoring clutch B and E, and we also, that's 4F95, and 4F85 is gear monitoring clutch E. So what the complaint would be when the car got hot is if you drove it, you know, easy and normal, it would be okay, because he actually drove it from Delaware to New York and it did not go into fail-safe once. All right, if he would maybe get on it and give it a little more gas, maybe to pass somebody, or just give it a little more gas to speed up, the car usually at that point would shudder, or maybe the engine would race up and it would go into limp mode. All right, when we drove this, I drove this with the head technician on the parkway. I was watching the scan tool, he was driving a car, and we're going, really, you know, we let it run for a little bit, but not too crazy. And we were on the parkway, and I said, all right, step into it, give it a little gas, and then immediately we felt the chatter. We actually cleared all the codes, drove the car, and we actually got it to go into limp mode while we were driving it. And the codes basically returned, the same codes. So what was done to this so far was a service which really did not seem to help. So at this point, we're dealing with, you know, worn rear stator bushing, possible solenoid problem, possible E-clutch problem, but it is something internal. So we're gonna go ahead and open this transmission, see what we find. I got most of my parts already that I'll show you, which is the ZF overhaul kit, the ZF friction module. I got a pan, I got the door bond bushing kit, and I'm starting to load up on the Lifeguard 6. I think I got 6 or 7 liters over there already. And I'm waiting for my valve body plate, the solenoids. This is a Gen 1 transmission. It's right on the cusp of Gen 1, Gen 2, but it is a Gen 1 because I did have the pan down because I wanted to drain the transmission. So I got 4 bolts in the pan, I got the pump bolts loose, just to make things go along a little quicker. And it has the typical 3 yellow, 3 blue, and 1 black, so that is a Gen 1 unit. All right, and that's about it. So we're gonna be looking for something in the E-clutch problem, you know, something wrong, like I said, possible flake clutches, rear stator bushing. But, you know, usually the common thing is, and the fact that it happened pretty much when it's hot, is usually a bushing problem. That's what I'm pretty sure that we're gonna find. So I'm gonna get a little closer. We're gonna open this up. This one here has an O-ring on it, which we're gonna take off of the converter. It also has a front stator bushing. So this shaft, you know, here is pretty steady. But again, all the bushings are gonna be changed anyway. So let me get a little closer, and we'll go ahead and start the teardown. I have the converter here, which I called Ericsson's. It's the only people that I use for ZF converters. He sent me a call tag because he thought he possibly had one on the shelf. It said in the computer, but he went to look and he does not. So it looks like he's probably going to be doing this one. So that is, I got the call tag already. Got UPS scheduled to come here in the morning. I'm going to box it up and ship it out. It'll get to him Monday, and hopefully do it Monday, get it back on Tuesday. All right, so let me get a little closer. I'll show you the converter, put that aside, and then we'll go ahead and open the transmission. Okay, so real quick, here is the torque converter. That's going to be sent out. That's what it looks like. So I got everything ready to go there. So I'm just going to put this protector on it. We're going to move this aside. And we have our transmission we're going to tear down. Let me maybe get a little closer. Okay. Okay, So what I want to do first, we're going to take this O-ring off. This is for the lock-up torque converter. Okay, there is the O-ring here. All right, now I'm going to get the pump bolts out, because again, I did break them loose, just to make things go along a little quicker. So the Torque 27, and new ones come in the overhaul kit, so I'm going to be putting new pump bolts in here. So let's just go ahead and get these out. Okay. Okay, one more. All right, so pump bolts are out. Next thing that I want to do, before we get the pan down here also, is your fill and check. And again, this gets filled in 2 stages. Before the engine is running, you fill it till it runs out, then you cap it off, you start it, and you fill it again till it runs out. And then you really want to check this at normal operating tension. You can run it through the gears. I mean, it's pretty full. Even if you want, you can go out and drive it, bring it back, and just check. Make sure you get a steady stream coming out. All right, so we have our flange back here. I unpeened the nut, so that's just going to pretty much come right off. That is a 34 millimeter 12 point. Oops. Oh. Okay. And here's our flange nut here. Flange will come right off. We'll just put this aside. Okay, so then when we get down to the gear train, we can just go ahead and pull the whole thing out. All right, so okay, so I got 4 bolts in the pan, and again, I did have it off to drain it, so it wouldn't make a mess when we're working on it. Okay, the pan was changed recently, so pan is, fairly clean. Let's put this in here. All right, so again, your Gen 1 solenoids. 3 blue, 3 yellow, 1 black. These are the EDS. That is the MV. The MV is on off. Okay, so before we get the valve body out, pick up the tab, and let's get that sleeve out. Okay, here is the sleeve. A new one of those comes in the overhaul kit as well. All right, so let's get our Torque 40 and get this valve body. Okay. Here, here. So the bolts that hold the valve body to the case are Torque 40. The ones that hold the 2 halves together is probably more like a 27. These out of here. Okay, that should have been the last one. And this is M-shift valve body. Okay. Here's one of the seals for this bridge seal that is going to be changed. Okay. Seal is not cracked or anything, but this is another huge problem. These seals crack. This is like the main artery for this transmission where the pressure is held. So if the seals crack, you got a pressure loss. With an N-shift valve body, you may get the transmission may be slipping gear ratio codes. With an E-shift valve body, because park is held out by hydraulic pressure, you put it in drive or reverse. When it gets hot, it jumps right back to park. So here's the bridge seal. Very common problem for that to crack. Okay. Now we're going to take these seals out here for the center support. Let me get my pliers for that. Okay. Okay, there's 1, 2. They are different lengths. Okay. All right, so we have our 4 seals, sealing sleeves. Okay. Now what we're going to do is get the front of the transmission out, get the rear of the transmission out, and we can take a look at everything. All right, so I'm just going to give it a little pry in this area right by the A drum to get it to move. Okay. I don't want to do anything up here by the pump where it's all machined flat. Okay, so again, we got a surface here that we're going to change the bushing that's in the front, so we got a front and rear stable bushing. And just by looking at this bushing, it does appear to be worn out. And I had this problem one other time with an X5 with a 6HP26. The gentleman came from Brooklyn, and I think he did something maybe with the valve body. I don't really remember, it was a couple of years ago. But the same thing, when you step into it, it went right into lit mode, and it was the rear stator bushing. Okay, so we have bearing here. Okay, this is the B drum. All right, so now we have the center support. We're going to get that snap ring out. Okay, so what we're going to do, see if we can get one of these behind the snap ring. Okay. All right, this is in. Because it's not near the opening, so I gotta see if I can possibly move the snap ring, which I probably can't do. So I got it moving, and what I want to do is try to pop the end out. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to get another one in here to the end and pop it out. Okay. Let's see if I can get this out. Here it is. Very, very thick snap ring. Pretty much same on both sides. All right, it is better. Okay. Let's see. A little tough to come out. Let's see if we can try to get it moving a little bit. I'm going to give it a little tap. See if we can get this thing moving. Go. Okay, and we got the planet. Looks good. shim here. Okay. Bearing is here. Shim here, you don't want to lose that. And we have a shim here. All right, so we're gonna, case basically is stripped. Let's stand it up. All right, now I'm just gonna pop out the rear seal. Just real quick, I'll show it to you. Okay, here's the rear seal. All right, case is stripped. So what I want to do is want to get this out of the way. I'm just going to have to move it aside because I've got transmissions pretty much lined up here. I'll just put it off to the side here. I want to get rid of the oil. And we'll go through the drums, open up the pump. And want to double check and make sure the E-drum is not cracked, which it probably isn't, but I'm going to check it anyway. And that's it. All right, so give me a few minutes. I'll be right back. All right, so we're going to take a look at the A and the E clutches. Okay, snap ring. Take off the clutch hub for the B clutch. Okay, the clutch hub for the A clutch. And the clutch hub for the E clutch. Okay. We got a bearing here. All right, now let's take a look at the E. All right, these clutches are burnt. Look at this. These are no good. Even the steels, I'm going to get new steels. See this color versus this color. So this clutch definitely 100% was slipping. Alright. There's really nothing left of this. This is flaked off. This is flaked off. This one's not, you know, and this is burnt, but 100% these E clutches are no good. Okay, that more than likely is our problem. But what I want to do now that we know that, let's go ahead and do this. Let's put these back in. What I'm going to do now is put some oil in the center here. Around. Let me get a little closer. You know, I'll bring the camera in and we're just going to double check this. And make sure that the E-drum is not cracked, which I don't believe it is. All right, let me just get on top of the drum and we'll just check that quick. Okay, 1 second. So I'm going to hold the apply back here. Going to put a little air in there. Make sure we see no bubbles. Yeah, no, this is good. The drum is good. Yes. Okay. Okay, let me put the camera back in the, where it was, and we'll take the rest of the clutch drums apart. Okay, so we know the E clutch, which is on in 4th, 5th, and 6th, is no good, and the problem with the car was in the higher gears. Now, we got a code for gear ratio error, or gear ratio monitoring E clutch, and we got one for also the B clutch. Now, this is on in 6th, but if this clutch is good, and it's slipping in 6, it's probably because the E clutch could not hold, because without the E clutch, you're not going to have 4th, 5th, and 6th, and this is the driving clutch. So if the others, you know, if the other clutches aren't working, I mean, if the E-clutch is not working, you may get a gear ratio error for B and E, even though E is the problem. Okay, so let's take a look. All right, you know, they're not the greatest. You know, there's a lot of miles on them. A little worn, but they're not burned. You can see the steels are in good shape, not like the E-clutch. The E-clutch is totally burnt. All right, so these aren't too bad. All right, bottom steel and wave. So that is the C-clutch. Here it's going to get a new bushing in here, and it's going to get a new bushing here. All right, let's take a look at the A-clutch. Not too bad on the A-clutch. All right, now we have a planetary here. And what we're gonna do is we got some areas where it's folded over to hold this planet in place. We're gonna unfold the bracket and we're gonna take that planet out. We have one. We're going to do them all except for one. 2. 3. Maybe one more. And we should be able to sneak it out. This one back a little bit. Missed one. Okay, so we still have one that is not, and I'm going to lift it up and pull it. And here is the planet with the sun gear. Okay. Here is the A drum. These bushings are going to be changed. All right, and then again, when I take this balance piston out, I'm going to mark it where it goes to the drum, so it goes in same way that it came out. On the 6HP26s, you have to line it up so the planetary goes in. This is a little different, but I like to just put it back the same way it comes out. All right, so that's that. All right, here is our center support, and we have these lugs here that are going to come out. This is what keeps the center support from turning when we install it into the case. Okay. All right, here is our C-clutch. Okay, C-clutch is not too bad. This one here has got some burn marks around it. Okay. Also a wave. Well, that's good. All right, so if you needed to adjust any kind of clearance on these transmissions, snap rings is how you do that. Okay, and the D. All right, this one's pretty much flaking off here. You know, not enough to cause a problem yet, but in the future for sure. So these flake off like the E-clutches do, and this one 100% is doing that. Okay. Now, let's take a look at the pump. All right, so the pump, we have a shim here. Okay, back it out a tiny bit. Now, I'm sure this bushing is worn out, but it's going to be a little difficult to tell because we have another bushing here in the front. So I don't really know if this drum is going to shake the way it would normally, and it's really not. You know, because you have that extra support in the front there. Again, number one problem with these transmissions is that bushing. Okay, so let's take our pump apart. All right, let me just get set up for that. I'm just gonna put you guys on hold for a few minutes. I will be right back, and then we'll go ahead and look at the pump. Take a fast look at the valve body. I'll show you the parts that I have so far, and then we can finish up the video. All right, I'll be back in a minute. Okay, all right, let's get these pump bolts out. Okay, it'll leave 2 in. Okay, now we're gonna put the body in gears out. Okay. Alright, so this looks very nice and smooth. Again, this bushing here, in here is gonna be changed, and of course the rear stator bushing. We're gonna put a new set of rings on it, new pump O-ring. Okay, here is the body and gears. So we got our dots facing me on the pump gears. Okay, and here looks very nice. And I'm gonna do a front seal, new O-ring, and this bearing here instead of a bushing is in this pump. Okay, so this all looks good. You know, typical, normal wear and tear from what we normally see. So more than likely the E-clutch could not hold, probably was not holding when you know, you get on the car. Which of course it would just, you know, over time, there would just be nothing left of the clutch, but even the steels are bad, so I gotta get steels for this too. Okay. All right, so this is, I can tell by this and this here, this is a Gen 1 valve body. I'm going to also find out about a ship kit on this. Here is your mechatronic unit, your input speed sensor, your output speed sensor. This is your computer here, and your range switch is here. All right, your EDS solenoids, your MV solenoid, and typical valve body. This one here, let me look up the code. Okay, and I got the code here on the plate B052, so I have that plate coming. All right, so that is the valve body. So what I want to show you now, okay. What I have, I still have to get some parts, you know, like the E-clutch steels. But what I have so far, all right, I have my Durabond bushing kit for this unit here. All my bushings are in here. Durabond bushing kit, that's what I prefer to use. You know, there's also Sonics and Omega and stuff, but I like the Durabond. Okay, this is my friction ZF original. There is the part number. ZF original friction module. Let me back out a little bit. Okay. These are OE frictions. Okay. Here is my OE overhaul kit. I can't really see the piece of tape over the part number. I don't know if you can really see that, but it is ZF. Okay. We have a chart here for what everything is used for. All right, here's new pump bolts for the front section of the transmission, bridge seal and Megatronic sleeve, sealing sleeves, rear seals. So this is an original ZF kit. Okay, one pan, OE, made in Germany, and I'll start there. I still got to get a few more. My Lifeguard 6s is the fluid that I use in all these transmissions. All right, I'm still waiting on, again, the valve body stuff, solenoids, plate, which I could show you, shift kit, you know, maybe I'll, probably gonna see if I can film doing the valve body, possibly over the weekend. So, that is it for now on this 07 BMW 530i, again with the problem of it chattering going into, I believe the 3/4 shift was okay, but as it got into 5th and 6th gears, where the problem was that E-clutch probably just could not hold between the clutch being worn and between the rear stator bushing being worn and losing the applied pressure for the E-clutch, it would falter. And you would get the gear monitoring in B and E because it will probably happen in 6th gear, because we got it to go into fail-safe on the parkway when the E-clutch and the B-clutch are on. So we're going to do this up, bushing kit, overhaul kit, clutches, we're going to do the valve body. The converter is being sent out for overhaul. And once it's done, get it back in the car, Lifeguard 6, reset shift adapts, give it a nice road test, and she should be good to go. All right, so that is all on this. I'm going to get that converter boxed up right now, and I got UPS coming early tomorrow morning for a pickup, so I can get it going. Let's see, I think that's about it. So I'll probably catch up with you guys with the valve body. I'll be working on all this stuff tomorrow, and I'm gonna be getting my valve body parts tomorrow, so I can do this over the weekend. All right, so I'll probably catch up with you guys doing the valve body. It will be a separate video. So I thank you guys for watching. Have a great day, and we'll see you next one.